Disinvited from family Christmas because I'm a plumber. I stopped funding my sister's law school tuition. Now she's pleading for help and I'm much happier without the toxicity. Alright, I've been holding on to this tale for quite a while, trying to decide how to even start explaining this mess that I guess I should begin by telling you a bit about myself. I'm 32 years old, single, and I run my own plumbing company. Sure, I get it. It's not the flashiest career in the eyes of some folks, especially certain members of my own family. But honestly, I earn a solid income and truly love what I do. There's real satisfaction in solving problems and helping people out, even if it sometimes means getting hands-on with messy situations. My sister Amanda, who's 26, has been enrolled in law school, and guess who was covering the costs? That's right. I've been handling her entire tuition bill from the day she began. Her boyfriend at the time was this high-profile physician at the nearby hospital, quite the character. But more on him soon. This is when everything started falling apart. Roughly a week prior to Christmas, I got a phone call from my mom. You need to understand something key about my mother. She rarely rings me up just to chat or see how I'm doing. It's typically because she needs a favor or there's some family drama that requires sorting out. Often related to finances, if I'm being frank. But this conversation felt off from the start. She sounded oddly hesitant, like she was about to deliver news that someone's pet had passed away. Then she dropped the shocking news. I wasn't welcome at Christmas this year. Straight up. No warning, no prior discussion. No heads up. Nothing. At first, I thought maybe I'd misunderstood. Like perhaps she meant they were changing the plans or the timing. But no. She continued, suggesting it would be wiser if I skipped it this time to ensure everyone felt at ease. I was stunned, wondering what on earth was going on, because this came completely out of nowhere. We'd always spent Christmas as a family, even during the years when I was grinding extra hours to build my company from scratch. Of course, my relatives have long had a weird attitude toward my profession. They're happy to benefit from the earnings it brings in, but heaven help them if they have to admit to anyone what their son or brother actually does. So I pushed her for details, asking what the actual issue was. She dodged and evaded, rambling vaguely about appearances and keeping things pleasant for all. But she wouldn't provide a straight explanation. It was only later that afternoon when I discovered the real story, thanks to my cousin Sarah. Sarah had eavesdropped on a conversation between Amanda and our mom from the previous week. Turns out, my dear sister had convinced our parents that including me at Christmas would create tension since I didn't align with her and her boyfriend's upscale professional image. Let that sink in for a second. My very own sister, whose law school journey I'd been fully supporting, felt embarrassed to include me at holiday gatherings simply because I'm a plumber. She worried about how her sophisticated doctor boyfriend might feel sharing a meal with somebody who earns a living through manual labor. The more I reflected on it, the more patterns emerged, like how Amanda never once asked me to join any of her law school gatherings, even though I was footing the bill for her attendance, or how she'd quickly divert the topic whenever her classmates inquired about her brother's occupation, or the fact that she hadn't bothered to introduce me to her boyfriend after they'd been together for almost a year. And the most painful part, our parents went along with it. They genuinely thought it was acceptable to disinvite their son from a family holiday because his job might inconvenience their precious daughter's partner. That same son who'd been financially supporting the household since turning 18. The same one who'd started and grown a thriving business entirely on his own. The same one who'd been covering the favored child's legal education without a single grievance. Mom attempted to soften the blow with lines like, "Sweetie, you understand how elite networks operate," or suggesting, perhaps next year, once I'd advanced my career further. What does that even imply? I own the company outright. I manage employees. I pull in a six-figure salary doing respectable, essential work. Yet apparently, it's not refined enough since I don't show up in office attire. I spent that whole day simmering with frustration, getting more upset by the hour. Not in an explosive rage way, but in that icy, composed realization that my relatives, especially my sister, had been taking advantage of me all along while secretly feeling ashamed. That's the moment I knew I'd had enough. If I was deemed too humiliating to include at holiday meals, then my financial support should be equally unacceptable for her education expenses. Imagine the optics for her posh suitor if he learned that her prestigious law degree was funded by a mere tradesman plumber. But wait, this is just the setup. The true drama unfolded once I chose to act. And believe me, consequences have a way of catching up, particularly when paired with massive student debt. After discovering I'd been shut out of Christmas celebrations over my working-class job, potentially offending my sister's boyfriend's refined tastes, I entered this bizarre headspace. You know that sensation where anger builds so intensely that it flips into eerie tranquility? That's exactly where I landed. I passed the whole evening scrolling through old messages and chats with Amanda. And wow, everyone, the red flags were glaring. I'd just been too oblivious or trusting to notice. For instance, last spring she threw a party to mark completing her first year of law school that I'd covered every penny of that year's fees. Yet no invite came my way. When I mentioned it to her, she fabricated some excuse about it being a small gathering with her study buddies. Only later did I see on social media that it was actually a big event at an upscale venue in the city center. Another example, when she needed a fresh laptop for her courses. I'm pretty tech-savvy myself, but she insisted I just wire the funds directly instead of going shopping with her. These days, it's practically standard. Even plumbers rely on digital tools and apps for estimates and scheduling. She claimed she was swamped and couldn't spare the time. But in hindsight, I'm certain she simply avoided being spotted publicly with her tradesman sibling at a tech retailer. Reflecting now, it's kind of tragically amusing, like how she'd frequently message her supposedly lowly brother whenever cash was short. Yet when it involved recognizing me in her polished new social circle, complete silence. I chose to investigate further. Perks of having a cousin still active in the family messaging group, right? Turns out Amanda had been plotting my holiday exclusion for weeks. She'd informed our parents that her boyfriend Craig, yeah, that's his actual name, was from an elite background, and she feared not impressing them properly. Supposedly, a sibling in plumbing could damage her career opportunities, or whatever snobbish nonsense that was. The real clincher, Cousin Sarah, with her love for juicy gossip, sent me forwarded screenshots of Amanda's exact words in the group chat. She'd typed something like, and this is verbatim, "I just don't want Craig to assume our family lacks, sophistication. It might influence his relatives' opinion of me, and they hold influence at major law practices. Sophistication? Really?" I was tempted to reply pointing out that her so-called education was only possible thanks to her unsophisticated plumber brother shelling out $43,000 annually, but I restrained myself. I was crafting a plan, and patience often pays off in these situations. Upon deeper reflection, I saw this went beyond just the holidays. It stemmed from years of my relatives, mainly Amanda, viewing me as some shameful hidden truth. They gladly took my tainted earnings from trade work, but refused to admit the source. Fun fact about plumbing many overlook: it demands serious training. Think multi-year apprenticeships, certification tests, and continual learning to keep up with codes and innovations. I'd wager I logged more hours studying plumbing systems and building regs than Amanda did on contracts or whatever. Yet since it's hands-on labor, they dismiss me as someone who couldn't hack it in proper professions. Truth is, I picked this path because I'm good at it and spotted the potential. I started apprenticing straight after high school, absorbed all the knowledge, passed my exams, and ultimately founded my company. Today, I've got 3 service vans running, 2 permanent employees, and a backlog of jobs. But to them, I'm forever the awkward sibling who unclogs drains. I replayed in my mind all those overtime shifts or side gigs I took to ensure Amanda's fees were covered. Every instance I delayed personal purchases or boosted savings because blood ties mattered most. All while she deliberately erased me from her romance and his relatives' view. Then Sarah dropped yet another revelation that Craig's folks weren't snobby about trades at all. His uncle, a prosperous builder, had constructed their home and started his career in plumbing, no less. Amanda had projected her own disdain onto them. I processed all this over several days, keeping tabs on the family chat through Sarah's updates. They'd booted me from the group ages back, supposedly to avoid awkwardness over holiday planning. Amanda rambled endlessly about her excitement hosting Craig, his family's links to top legal offices, and how it might land her a coveted internship via those connections. Throughout it all, nobody defended me. Not parents, not other kin. No one said, "Wait, perhaps we shouldn't sideline the person bankrolling Amanda's degree." They were all thrilled at the prospect of her snagging an elite placement through her beau's network. That's when clarity hit. What I had to do. If they preferred acting like no plumber existed in the lineage, I'd facilitate that fantasy, starting by halting her tuition support. After brooding on the absurdity for days, I resolved to proceed. But key point, I avoided any heated messaging. I aimed to handle it cleanly, so they couldn't twist my intent or paint me as the villain, which, By the way, is a family pastime. I timed it around when Amanda's upcoming semester fee was nearing deadline, about 2 weeks out. Usually, she'd grow anxious and send gentle reminders, like mentioning school emails about due dates. This cycle? Nothing. She likely figured the transfer would happen automatically, despite the Christmas snub. Quick note, I'd always paid directly via the school's online system. She'd configured it early on and shared the credentials. Super handy, since she treated me like a walking bank machine. Anyway, I logged in and saw the pending amount, $21,500 for spring term. It really drove home how much I'd invested in her path while she hid my role from her partner. Know how many service calls it takes to cover that? Way more than you'd think. So I rang Amanda up. No texting. I called to catch her reaction live. She answered on the third ring, sounding irritated, like I'd disrupted something vital. "Hey," she said in that hurried tone implying hurry up. "Sorry to bother," I said casually. "Just checking on your tuition. It's coming up soon, yeah?" Her demeanor flipped immediately, suddenly sweet and attentive. "Yeah, appreciate the reminder, due the 15th. You're good to handle it still, right?" "Well," I said, "I've been mulling over what you shared with Mom and Dad regarding Christmas. How a plumber brother could humiliate you around Craig and his folks." Dead quiet on her line. You could practically hear the panic as she scrambled for a response. "Who told you that?" she finally snapped. "Does the source matter?" I asked. "True or false?" More quiet. Then she switched to crisis management. "Look, you're misunderstanding. Craig's relatives are very status conscious. Dad's a judge, Mom's involved in high society charities. I figured it'd be easier if you just stayed out of sight." I finished her thought. "Because he's merely a humble plumber." "That's unfair," she whined. "I didn't phrase it that way. I just need credibility for my legal career. You get how these groups function." I chuckled involuntarily. "No, actually, I don't navigate those groups. Tradesman here, recall? But I do know precisely how much I've shelled out for your degree. Care for the tally?" She started interrupting, but I pressed on. "Full first year, $43,000. This year's fall, $21,500. Add extras like laptop, books, that premium prep course you insisted on. Total so far? Roughly $70,000. Wait, my bad. Around $77,000. All courtesy of your mortifying plumber sibling." "Why behave this way?" she groaned. "This means everything for my career. Craig's connections could open doors at premier firms, and a trade worker brother might sabotage that." "Even when that brother is solely why you're enrolled?" I countered. "You vowed to back my aspirations," she said. "Yeah," I replied. "Back when you weren't embarrassed to claim me as family. But if I'm unfit for holiday gatherings, my funds must be equally unsuitable for your fees." "Folks," the wail she let out resembled a wounded animal. "You can't," she yelled. "Deadline soon. What now?" "Not sure," I said, oddly serene. "Try Craig. His high-earning Dr. Pay might suffice. Or is only grimy trade money acceptable?" She burst into theatrical tears. "Please," she begged. "I'll admit to parents I erred. Come to Christmas. Just don't ruin this." "Nah," I said. "I no longer wish to attend. Wouldn't want to mortify you before Craig's crowd. Actually, I'm done with all of you. View this as my final contribution to a family embarrassed by me." I ended the call amid her sobs and pleas, then blocked her number instantly, poured a stiff drink and prepared for the backlash. Sure enough, chaos ensued. Mom led the charge, ringing repeatedly until I picked up. She dove straight into her expert guilt maneuvers, weeping over how I was destroying the household and Amanda's prospects over a minor mix-up. "Minor mix-up?" I echoed. She outright admitted shame over my career, the one funding her studies. "She didn't intend it that way," Mom defended. "You know Amanda, she fixates on impressions. She admires you deep down." I nearly spat my drink. "Banning me from holidays due to humiliation. How's that admiration?" Mom pivoted. "Think of her bond with Craig. His kin could launch her professionally." "Ah, prioritizing Craig?" I cut in. "Hilarious how vital he is, while your son isn't worthy of a seat." She dissolved into excuses about misinterpretations and my oversensitivity, classic deflection to make me the unreasonable one. Dad's call was pure fury, predictably. He raged about my selfishness and spite, labeling me immature for jeopardizing her schooling. Peak parenting, right? Clarify this, I said. I'm immature for refusing to bankroll someone ashamed of me? Explain. We taught you better, he snarled. Family backs family. Oh? Like when you endorsed my exclusion. Supportive. He justified it as necessary compromises for overall family gain, meaning pandering to Craig for Amanda's advancement. Strikingly, zero apologies came from anyone. Focus stayed on my wrongdoing for defending myself. Petty, vindictive, prideful blocking unity. Then the relatives piled on. Aunt phoned expressing disappointment in me. Uncle messaged urging me to mature and rise above. Even Sarah, my informant, suggested I might be overdoing it. Yet crucially, none volunteered to cover Amanda's costs. Highlight. Amanda confided in Craig, hoping he'd step up financially. Per Sarah's ongoing reports, he grew silent, probing why she'd never spoken of a brother, never introduced us, why said brother funded her entirely. He struggled grasping hiding family over a trade job. Revealed. His uncle began as plumber turned contractor, building their house. Craig summered working with him. Amanda's justifications worsened things, rambling on images and circles. Craig grew disturbed, shocked she'd conceal and belittle a supportive sibling for superficial status. Next day, he requested space, citing her behavior exposing unappealing traits. Unexpected integrity from him. Meanwhile, parents bombarded my phone. Mom cycling tears and pleas, dad threats and curses. Amanda via new numbers post-block. I eventually powered off for days, all framing me as destroyer for refusing silent funding. But I'd finished that role. If self-respect made me villain to them, fine, preferable to doormat status. Days later, Craig visited her place. She assumed reconciliation. Instead, breakup. He couldn't date someone mistreating a generous brother so callously. It raised doubts on her character. Amanda spiraled, reaching me via fresh number, hysterical and accusatory. More disposable phones than shady dealings. Blamed me for wrecking her world. Craig's exit my fault. Life crumbling. I chuckled. No, Amanda. Craig left upon seeing your real self. I merely ceased enabling the facade. She escalated threats. False assault claims from youth. Business complaints for scams. Public smears as awful sibling. Proceed, I said. Broadcast how your brother's monstrous for funding you while you erased him. Good luck. She reverted to pleas, wailing over unaffordable school, potential dropout, lost circle, ruined existence. Should have considered before deeming me unworthy, I said, then hung up. Post-breakup, Sarah reported Amanda's full meltdown. Random parental visits, sobbing life over. She'd bragged to classmates Craig would handle fees. His dump left her exposed. Payment loomed. No plan. Emergency loan attempts failed. Processing delays, procrastination, plus co-signer need. Parents' finances wrecked. Why overspend chronically? Sarah alerted. Urgent. Amanda Facebook posted en route to my workplace to confront my actions. Seeming unhinged. Barely alerted team before she burst in. Disheveled luxury attire. Wild hair. Streaked makeup. Unhinged vibe, but sibling version. How dare you? She shrieked before staff and clients. Family protects family. Tried calming, suggesting outside talk or volume drop. She insisted on spectacle. You're destroying me, she bellowed. Overhurt ego, so selfish. Loyal longtime client, elderly woman, Rose. Miss, this the brother funding your studies. Amanda whipped around, stunned. Not your concern. You publicized it, storming and yelling. Lady retorted. From overheard, you barred him holidays over job shame, yet demand his money? That's ungrateful entitlement where I'm from. Amanda's expression, unprepared for outsider rebuke, quickly switched to dramatic weeping. You don't get it. He's punishing me, jealous of my progress. Laughed outright. What progress? Alienating your ex? Likely quitting school? Humiliating here? I'm building a life. She snapped. Not merely tinkering pipes like a cut off mid-insult, aware of audience. My plumbers. Veteran employee Mike, burly loyal from day one, approached gravely. Miss, time to go. Your brother's tinkering supported my household 5 years. Kids' orthodontics, wife's car. Evidently your degree. Show respect. Amanda scanned room, no sympathy. All viewed her as erratic, accurately. Point one last attempt. Fine. I'll expose your true nature online everywhere. Be my guest. I encouraged. Include excluding me holidays over profession shame, yet expecting tuition. Bound for support. She exited furiously, toppling signage, papers, scattering cards. Classy. Post-departure, elderly client comforted me. My departed spouse was Plumber. Educated our 3 kids fully. Never shamed his work. Then firmly, you're right, dear. Respect must go both ways. Some learn painfully. Explained to team afterward. Supportive. Mike joked his holiday squabbles paled. Following workplace outburst, Amanda escalated wildly. Phoning all extended kin with victim narrative of spiteful brother sabotaging her. Family intrigue thrives on meddling sans commitment. First, Aunt Karen, name fits stereotype, berating obligations, my selfishness. Same aunt owing me $5,000 from years ago, urgent dentistry, unpaid. Dialogue, how treat your sister thus? She's advancing. Recall offering her tuition aid? I shot back. Oh, and you owe for those teeth. Silence. That's unrelated, she stammered. Dare mention? Is it? Family preaches support till action required. Then crickets. She disconnected. Truth stings worse than cavities. Next. Uncle Steve, Dad's bro, pseudo-tycoon bragging stocks yet dodging checks. Lectured family investment. View as betting on her success. She'll reciprocate. Laughed hard. Reciprocate? She couldn't tolerate me at dinner over my job. But elaborate future aid. Help complete degree. She repays. Brilliant, loan her yourself then. Your amazing portfolio. Invest here. Abrupt goodbye. Pattern emerging. Notably, guilt trippers never opened wallets for her. All opinions on my funds. They're sealed. Finished with that chapter, will update if developments. Ultimate update. Sister disinvited me Christmas over plumbing career. So withdrew law school support. Hi all. Posting final wrap-up since many inquired via messages. Mutual acquaintance shared. Sister appeared unannounced at ex's home, pleading case to his parents. Woe is me tale of impending loss. Seeking aid. Omitting plumber shame hiding. Craig there, supplied full context. His judge father reportedly said, Miss, aspiring attorney? No manipulating via omissions, poor professional foundation. Ultimately, she withdrew from program. Private loans impossible sans cosigner. Family refused post-drama. Grandma intervened, shaming parents. They ceased begging me. Amanda now paralegal at modest firm. Sarah says she insists temporary, till resumption, but realistically doubtful. My side, company booming. Added 2 vans, for hires. Occasionally grab drinks with Craig and his uncle, also Mike. Coincidence. Mesh well sans drama. Parents attempted Thanksgiving outreach, mortgage woes. Refused. Suggest consulting accomplished attorney daughter. Actually, feel liberated now, truth exposed. No facades, no endless funding. No tiptoeing over career. Just me, thriving enterprise, genuine pals indifferent to occupation. Thanks for backing, Reddit. Occasionally, online strangers validate self-advocacy sanity. Edit. Wow, this exploded. Appreciate awards and plumber inquiries in my area. Apologies, staying low-key. Edit 2. To claims I destroyed her path. She self-sabotaged. I merely halted sponsorship. Subscribe and enable alerts for more unbelievable true accounts in your world.